In Hungary, we have a rap artist called Majka, who earlier this year wrote a song in which a seemingly fictional country is led by a fictional prime minister called Kleptistan, who is driven solely by money and corruption. Last week, he performed this song and ended it by imitating a shooting gesture aimed at killing this fictional leader. The next 5 minutes dives into this topic. Majka's company, the Dima LLC, generated more than 500 million forints in revenue in 2023, but last year's number came close to 800 million. It also came to light that Majka took out 130 million forints in dividends from this. So a poor kid from Ost, as he calls himself, found luck through a reality show called Valóvilág and ended up a millionaire rapper. That's a pretty good story. I wish it on everyone. But it's rather hypocritical when a millionaire who lies in the lap of capitalism every single day sings about how money shouldn't be the driving force in our world. What bothers me isn't that Majka isn't a right-wing or Orban fan. He's an adult, he can decide who he thinks offers him a better future. What bothers me is that Majka clearly thinks that I and we are complete idiots. If you write a song critical of the government, then at least have the spine to own it. Because coming from a rapper, this kind of backpedaling is just plain embarrassing at this point. I get up on stage, speak the truth, enjoy all the attention that comes with it, pick up the money that comes with it, act all cool, and then deny that the song is about what literally everyone thinks it's about when they read the lyrics. And here is where I would respond to a totally worn-out argument that the government supporters think that the song is about Orban because they see the government reflected in it. No, that's really not how psychology works. What's happening here is that the lyrics echo the exact same campaign narratives the current opposition repeats nonstop from morning to night. So the logical conclusion is the opposition has its propaganda, and Majka simply modeled his dripping song after it. But Majka is not unique in this. In fact, I would say it's the trend. There has always been a kind of political exhibitionism among artists and performers when musical success no longer felt enough and the ego wanted more. It's influencer behavior. And since forever, the majority of artists have leaned liberal or left-wing, but we will get back to that. As I said, Majka is not unique. In recent years, there have been plenty of stage rants against Trump. At least those singers openly stood by their views instead of hiding behind, oh, it's just a made-up story. I assume this will eventually be Majka's next step too, so let's see what we can expect. There have been plenty of anti-Trump statements on stage, so let me quote a couple. There was YG and the Nipsey Hussle who chanted with the crowd, F Donald Trump. Then you had the Green Day and the EMA, no Trump, no KK, no fascist USA. Eminem said racism is the only thing he is good at, referring to Trump. Then you had Roger Waters, who depicted Trump as a KKK member in a baby diaper or riding in a $sign pig, which we all know was referring to the relationship with Israel. Then Madonna went the furthest so far. She literally said on stage, I have thought a lot about blowing up the White House. We can also mention Kneecap, the band that was just banned from the Eastern Europeans' largest festival, the Sziget. At Coachella, they had the crowd yelling F Israel and previously released videos wishing death upon various political figures. Of course, there are chants and performances targeting the left too, but somehow those always sound much more restrained and gentle. Killer Mike said, we don't forget George Floyd's death. You deflected responsibility. That was his criticism against Joe Biden. Or Rage Against the Machine said that Biden, you made empty promises. And the visuals included ICE detention centers. So yes, criticism of right-wing leaders is much harsher, louder, and more direct than of left-wing and centrist ones like Biden. You could write an entire thesis on this. Against the right-wing leaders like Trump or Viktor Orban, the language is often raw, obscene, unfiltered, like F Donald Trump, no KKK, F Orban, or F Netanyahu. The tone is always outrage, confrontation, moral absolutism. Against the left-wing and centrist leaders like Biden, Obama, or the UK Labour Party, the language is more restrained, often contradictory or conditional. Like Biden, do something, you promised change, we are disappointed again. So the tone is disappointment, criticism, a sense of betrayal, but not filled with hate. Even the Let's Go Brandon movement was heavily criticized for its vulgarity and quickly faded away. There is always strategy behind this act. Many artists fear that the harsh criticism of leftists will strengthen the radical right. We are seeing the same dynamic in Hungary now. Attacking Viktor Orban is trendy and cool, but criticizing the opposition is off limits because they are the idolized standard. Also, let's not forget that the left wing critique is always system critique and not personal. Conservative leaders, however, targeted with personal attacks on them and they get the character assassination. In America, this dynamic is also playing out with media bias. Anti Trump messages become mainstream in a second, while anti Biden criticism is labeled divisive or extreme. Then add to that a liberal fan base's cognitive dissonance, where Biden is seen as the alternative to fascism, so any criticism triggers a defensive reflex. We see the exact same playing out in Hungary. So back to the Hungarian rapper Majka. For now, he's just testing the waters of political influencing, but I doubt it will be long before he adopts a full-on Madonna-style tone. And here is something important. Even in America, you can't get away with just anything. According to the US law, threatening the president is a federal offense. Even artistic works, if they imply violence, can lead to Secret Service questioning, even if they are metaphorical. So Micah's double-edged lyrics alone wouldn't be an issue, but combine them with the shooting gesture, and suddenly we are tiptoeing a line between artistic expression and actual threat.